It's Greggatron. What's going on with you folk out there? This video today is about fear. So yesterday I went to my old middle school just to visit some of my old teachers. And I get there, I buzz in, and the secretary says, "Can I help you?" I say, "Yeah, I'm just here to visit some people, some teachers. I'm a former student." And she said, "Do you have an appointment?" And I was like, "Nah, I was just gonna surprise him because that's what I always do, right?" And she said, "Well, without an appointment, you can't just come in." And I told her I always would come in every other year. I'd stop by or so. And she said, "Yeah, but because of COVID, all those policies changed. So you can't just go in and visit and talk shit anymore. I mean, talk stuff." And I'm just thinking, wow. And then she said, "If you leave your name, I can tell so and so you stopped by." And I was like, "Don't even worry about it. It's all good." So I dipped out. And part of me is wondering, is it because of COVID or is it because recently there's all these mass shootings around the country? Like, I get it, you can't trust people anymore when it comes to certain things, but at the same time, it just sucks. You're just thinking, really? Like, I can't even visit my old teachers. But again, this is about fear. Like, didn't Biden just say the pandemic is over a few days ago? But they're still acting as if COVID just started last week. Like, at what point do we get back to normal? You know what I'm saying? When does the madness stop? Like, there's people to this day who are afraid of catching that stuff. I still see people jogging with a mask on, walking their dog. I still see people driving in a pickup truck with a mask on. How does that make any sense? So, will we ever get back to where you can just stop by the school and chill? Probably not. But fear is not a good thing. And not just when it comes to the COVID pandemic or the sweet and sour sniffles or the pandemic or the China virus or whatever you want to call it. It's not good to have fear. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. If you don't know what that's from, I don't know what to tell you. That's Yoda right there. That's Yoda. If you don't know about Yoda, I don't know what to tell you people. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. You can't just live in fear your whole life. And this isn't just about COVID. This is about fearing other people, fearing your family members, your friends, your boss, your wife, your husband, your cat, your dog. Like, if you have a fear, or let's just say it's a phobia for the sake of the conversation, if you have an irrational fear about something, you need to face that fear. You don't want to be afraid of the same thing your whole life. Now, let's say you were traumatized, something happened to you. Again, you can't let that dictate how you're going to live your life for the rest of your life. Because you're just going to live in misery. Whatever happened to you in the past, let's say you got bit by a dog, to keep it simple. Let's say you got bit by a dog when you were a little kid. You can't dictate that all dogs are going to bite you, may or may not bite you growing up. Let's say you get married and your kids want to have a dog. "Hey, mom, can we get a dog?" You can't be like, "Nah, I don't want a dog because when I was y'all's age, I got bit by a dog." You know what I'm saying? You need to overcome that. You need to face that. You need to face that dog head on. Because not every dog is going to bite you. What was that dog's problem? What were you doing to that dog to make that dog bite you? And even if it wasn't your fault, you have to overcome what happened. You got to overcome by forgiving. Forgive that dog. Because not all dogs bite. That's a good analogy. But yeah. Because if you just live in fear for the rest of your life, for one, you could die quicker. And I'm not a doctor. But two, you're just letting that rule over your life. You just won't be free. And who wants to walk around living with that shadow over your back? Nobody. And yeah, it probably sounds easier than it is, but you just gotta deal with it. Like, if you're afraid to be alone, for example, the only way to overcome that is by being alone. Like, don't surround yourself with a bunch of people all the time. Don't call everybody on the phone all the time. Don't text everybody on the phone all the time. Put the computer down. Put the iPad down. Just be home alone for a long period of time. And just deal with it. Just see what happens. Because if you keep surrounding yourself with others, you're not actually facing your fear. Remember that show Fear Factor? There were people on there who were afraid of snakes. But if the stunt was you had to lay in a bathtub full of snakes, what choice did you have? If you wanted to win that $50,000, you had to lay in that tub full of snakes. And some people did that stuff, some people didn't. You know, but yeah, that's all this video is about. Just don't be afraid, especially of other people, like strangers. Like, yeah, you want to protect yourself, obviously, but don't be so afraid that you can't even like look at people. Like, I remember during COVID, and I like to talk to people, but I remember during COVID, I would try to chat with people in the grocery store. But a lot of women, like, they wouldn't even, like, look at you because they thought they were going to have an outbreak. Like, oh, get away from me. I don't want to get sick. Not knowing most of the people who died didn't die of COVID all by itself. They had different health conditions going on. But that's beyond the point. Overcome your fears, people. Overcome it.